We're live.
Hey.
There, we figured it out. Here we are in our stuff. I see I have messy papers behind me, but you can see my tennis rackets there. There we go. And we're talking about not choking,
Hmm.
and of course that has to do with absolutely any sport.
Go blank.
all of them. How to not choke. So we like to get to the okay. First of all, you can't tell somebody not to choke, and you can't tell yourself not to choke. That will instantly cause choking. So we're not talking about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Well, take that off the table.
moving on. Moving on from that.
Okay, and here's the next thing we're not talking about. It's like I feel a choke coming on,
Oh yeah.
so I'm going to do X. No, don't do that.
Mm-mm.
Don't do that either. Because okay, let's say, okay, I'm really starting to choke, and I need to take a few deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the world of human psychology, those few deep breaths just became attached to choke. It's called fused, is the technical term. So, you really don't want your deep breathing attached to choke. So when I take a few deep breaths, even if I'm not consciously aware of it, my body's aware of choking. And
Oh, it
so it
go.
gets tied up in that. Ixnay. So what we're talking, and we're doing a program on this. We've been working on it a little bit. We decided to work on a coaching program that's based on setting up a fundamental base that you're working from based on the ACT matrix that you practice over and over and over again. So it's so well practiced, you don't choke. That's how you don't choke. So it takes a lot of training to teach yourself to stay in the moment, and choke just doesn't show up. Is that correct, Phil?
Yeah, that's a fair enough way of putting it.
It just doesn't show up. We'll go back. I like the Olympics, and you see any athlete, but a great example is to watch the figure skater do her routine. Uh, Alysa do her routine where it's just free and easy, and there's obviously no choke. I mean, she's not thinking about choke. She's just thinking about being in the moment and having fun and all that. And she's not the only one. There was many athletes that reached there. We're just talking about doing it, getting there on purpose, practicing the matrix as a mental practice, as very much as you practice the physical part. And so that's not done very much that we
No.
can tell. Uh, they do it sort of kind of, but for most coaching, athletic coaching, now we're talking athletic coaching, it's 90 something percent physical training, repetition of physical things, and a little bit of mental stuff maybe sort of kind of thrown in. And we would recommend that you increase that percentage a lot. And you do that by routinizing. Isn't that a lovely word? Well, like routinizing.
Let's go with that.
Haven't heard that in a while. But you make it a routine. It's like you'll see any sport has some warm up. I mean, when you get to serious with the sport, it has some warm up thing, like karate, aikido.
Warm up. Yep.
Even if you're disc golf,
Yep. Warm up.
You
Yep.
just, you just don't want to walk out there and just heave the
No.
heaviest throw with
Yeah. Or just
no.
start tossing people around the dojo. That doesn't work either.
Yeah, somebody's going to get hurt. You got to get into the. So the physical part of warm up, a physical warm up, is part of every sport. And so what we propose is a psychological warm up that you can quickly snap into place. And so, which is simply the ACT matrix. So most people listening to the Crowdcast today will know it and say, well, that's easy. I can do, who's important to me and yucky stuff that shows up and my favorite relief moves and the stuff I do for other people and success, boom, boom, boom. And I can notice all that stuff. Kaboom. That's how Phil and I do it. It's just goes through your mind instantly if you've practiced it a lot. And that's it. We're proposing you make that just as much practice. And you discuss it. And you discuss if you're in a team, you do more pro-social stuff, which is instead in the lower right, you ask, what's our shared purpose if you're on a sports team? And you talk about that stuff. And you talk about who's important. And gee, I'm afraid of failing. Yes. And you talk about that at another time, not when you're about to walk out onto the court or the field or wherever, or the mat, the dojo. You don't do it then. You do it. You have all this set up in the background, so you have a very solid mental core working for you. So then that allows the physical to flow out of you. And you do that with practice, right? And then if you do notice choke showing up, starting to, the way Phil and I do it is we remind ourselves who's important to us.
Back here.
Technically, what that just did is it stimulates a different part of the brain than the amygdala. So a choke is amygdala. Let's just get that out of the way. That's your amygdala doing its oh shit thing, and it's like it gets afraid and you freeze and any of us, we know choke, that's your amygdala. And so you can tell your amygdala, stop that. I like Phil. I don't think that it doesn't work.
I don't recommend that.
Amygdalas are nonverbal. They don't pay any attention to anything. But your prefrontal cortex, it's got lots of words floating around in it. And that's what you're stimulating with who's important to me. Who's important to me? And you start reviewing who's important to you, just as and because you've done it dozens and hundreds and even thousands of times before, you've stimulated that part of your brain. And now that parts of your brain get stimulated along with the amygdala that wanted to go. And now you got a good chance of not choking. So that's how you do it, folks. That's how it's done. So we're talking brain science. And once the amygdala gets going, you don't want to mess with the amygdala. Don't poke it. It's like, don't poke the bear.
Doesn't respond well to poking.
No, don't do that. No, don't do that. But it's not that you do nothing, because if you do nothing, then it's just going to
runs the show.
This is right. It's in charge. So you go park it. Metaphorically, you're just saying, okay, I feel that showing up. Who's important to me?
Yep.
And we get flipped on that side. And now that is stimulating the prefrontal cortex, amongst other parts of the brain. And then you'll be in a lot better shape. So that's how you do it. So, step one, practice the matrix a lot.
No substitute for that.
Step two, notice when choking inevitably shows up. Because even the best of us, you may have gone many, many games or matches or whatever you do without any choke showing up.
Yep.
But then one day you get up on the wrong side of the bed, things just don't feel.
They're not going your way.
It is not going your way, right? And you get out there, and now you feel the choke starting to show up. Now it's starting to, and of course you can go, oh my God, no, I can't, take a deep breath or whatever. The better way is to, okay, there's the choke. Who's important to me? Now you're having both at the same time. You're having the choke and you're having who's important to me, and running through that soothing, mindful matrix routine. Now you have a routine to go into. And you simply notice the choke showing up. You don't engage with it any more than noticing it. So, and this just takes mental practice. But it's just that. It's a mental skill. Now, could you learn a meditation technique? Sure. We're not saying there's not other ways of doing this, but we have our way, and it seems to work really well. And of course, then it spills over into the rest of your life, because believe me, having a really clear understanding of who's important to you, and if you're part of a team, what's our shared purpose? What might we call that? Good stuff?
Yes.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Foundation.
Yeah, and there we go. And now we're back to solid foundation. And so we say how to not choke is based on setting up a solid foundation by practicing the mind as much, we would dare say, as much as you practice the physical. Why do I say that? We've all seen it. The very top athlete of whatever in the world has a choke set in. Done. Yeah. Done. They're no longer the top athlete. The choke takes them right out of the game. Destroys it. Whether it be a baseball player with a hit. Baseball and golf both use that term yips. They get the yips. How do you prevent yips? Well, one, don't focus on the yips.
Right.
And you go back to square one, and you just keep practicing baseball, and you practice these mental techniques. So we have one called the matrix. So that's how you do it. That's how you don't choke. And if you do, a choke does show, you notice a choke showing up. I'll use the language. You will notice choke showing up, or the beginnings of a choke showing up. Of course, that's what's called exquisite noticing. So now you're noticing the choke when it's tiny.
Yeah. the early precursors of choking.
Right, the precursor. Right. You're noticing that instead of when it's 80-90% there. You're noticing the first 5-10%. That little bit, and then it's much easier to deal with if you've practiced so much noticing of your internal state instead of denying your internal state, which is, no, I'm not anxious. My career is on the line, and
yeah,
my life is on the line, and whatever kind of self-talk talk is going on inside your head. Uh,
Yeah.
we want to be practicing noticing that stuff and going through that stuff back, in the classroom.
In the classroom.
All right, but away,
Mhm.
wherever they have those meetings. But that's what. So that's the trick of it. But don't worry, how you don't do it is prepare for it. You prepare for the mental side of the game every bit as much as you do for the physical side. And so for any sport, there's drills that you do.
Yeah.
All sports have the basic drills. And I think I've heard this before, Phil, but I think many times a coach says, get back to the basics.
Oh,
Including in Aikido that Phil uses.
would be do Ikkyo.
Do Ikkyo, right?
First technique. Ikkyo is first technique, folks. For those
First technique, right? But in football, it's blocking and tackling.
yeah,
And,
what it is.
the basics
Yeah.
always is you return to the basics. So we're talking the basic being what we use as the ACT matrix routine. So that's how you do it. But you practice it and you have your athletes practice it. So if you are a coach, have we offer you, well, soon we will. In 2 weeks, we'll have it up.
Working on it.
We'll offer you a way of taking athletes through drills. They're not hard. It's the ACT matrix. We're not trying to make it into something it's not. But then again, it's awfully powerful. And then they'll have a good foundation. That's what you want. A really good, solid mental foundation and then they probably won't choke. And will they every once in a while? Sure.
Yeah.
Everybody chokes every once in a while. It's just the nature of life, So, but for the most part, you won't choke. We just made it fancier looking how to not choke. But you almost won't ever choke. You'll have a peaceful, easy demeanor about you. That doesn't mean you're not pouring every bit of fight into it you got. That doesn't mean that. You're calm, cool, and collected about pouring in everything into it. So,
yeah.
We've all seen athletes do that. All snowboarders and stuff you see doing those crazy things. They're in. I don't know. We don't know how they go about it, but we're talking about anybody who's struggling with it, any coaches who are struggling with it, we'll get you in and show you how to. And then that will be part of our Friday call that we've been advertising. So on Fridays, we'll discuss it if anybody shows up. And as Phil and I like to say, that's what we were talking about on Fridays anyway. So we'll just do that. So what else do we need to say about choking, Phil? Are you a choking expert?
Oh, well, I've been around choking a bit in my life. And I think you're right. I think it's kind of like this. I like to think of it as you've got the physical flexibility that you need to have for whatever your sport is, right? You've got to maintain flexibility, responsiveness, your muscular responsiveness, proprioception. And what we're really talking about here is setting up the mental side of the mental flexibility to dovetail with your physical flexibility.
And they call it flexible. It's psychological flexibility.
Yeah.
So you're setting up flexible responding. Okay. And in athletics, but in life, let's just say all of us respond.
You can't not respond.
Just get over the idea that you initiate everything.
Yeah.
It does not help with this
Right.
business
No,
of athletics.
you're not in charge, folks.
You're not. You're responding. And what you get from lots of practice is the ability to respond in milliseconds.
Yeah.
Just absolute a few 1,000ths of a second. But so there's no thoughts involved, none whatsoever.
Not required.
But notice I said no thoughts. Well, that dastardly amygdala doesn't take any thoughts either.
Yeah.
It is also nonverbal. So it can muck up your few thousandths of a millisecond of response because it's nonverbal. It just operates. So what we're doing is calming that thing down, keeping that thing nice and calm and out of the picture so that you're just responding with your sport, with whatever the sport is. But as Phil said, it's responding. And
Yeah.
how do you respond? And that's so for our title today, it's how to not respond with a choke. The choke you didn't initiate the choke. You're responding with a choke. And so you get that all out of the way.
Yeah.
Practice the matrix many, many, many times. Anybody that's coming on with us today is doing that. Okay. You're already with us and you're already practicing. And you may well have already noticed not choking showing up. You get to the other end of a match or a game or whatever you're in, and you go, well, I was really loose there, and free and easy and having a good time, doing my thing. And that was cool. And that's it. That's it. And it's not that that's a big deal. You just notice that you're just have this calm ability to not respond with tension.
Yeah. Tensing things up.
Tension's our enemy.
That is the enemy.
At least tension in the wrong spots. In
a sport, it's the enemy of of effective response, right?
Right. So you go in to do that keto, and you're
the minute you feel tension in your part,
right, you're locked in.
Resist. Yeah.
And at that point, you're not going to make it.
No Aikido's going on. There's no Aikido.
Antithesis of Aikido. So you respond with your physical things that you've trained to do 1,000, 10,000, 20, many, 50, 100, many million times. You've practiced this over and over and over.
Yes.
So the trick. Then we just know the mind can get in very quickly. So we practice the matrix, and it's fun. Really, you get teams talking about it, individuals talking about it. They enjoy talking about it.
Tell each other about it.
Phil's work with kids down all the way to pre-K. They get a kick out of talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's not something. Well, it's not like meditation where they're going to go, I don't want to meditate. I mean, I'm not going to have anything against it, but most athletes, you're going to have a tough row to hold to get them to meditate. Whereas to do this, it's easy peasy.
Man, 1, 2, 3.
Right, and they'll roll through it. But you do emphasize we need to roll through it so we're ready to not choke. Ready to be present in it. So I know tennis the best, okay? This would count for most sports, I would imagine. tell me if I'm wrong, but in tennis, one of the number one great things that you can do is only be focused on the point that you're playing.
Mm.
Don't be beating up on yourself for the if you lost, and don't be congratulating yourself if you did something well, because neither of those things count for now.
Yeah.
And we've all seen people do something really great and then follow it up with a real flub. Well, they were still thinking about that great thing they did.
Yeah.
And that got in the way of your so it's a great skill to just focus on now. So in football, it would be the next play. In Aikido, it would be the next, what do you call it?
The next attack or the next defense or whatever.
Attack or defense, right? The next. So you set up, everybody gets set up and ready to
Yeah,
go. That's all you're focused on.
yeah, that's it.
So that's what you're going for, folks, is that ability to focus on the current play, the current point, the current whatever. Not not the good or bad or neutral ones you did in the past. And it's a skill to do that. It's a mental skill. And of course, the great athletes pretty well do that. Have a
Oh,
natural gift.
absolutely.
Yeah. We're not saying they don't do that. Of course, they do that. But then other people struggle, and we're giving you a way to get it. I know years ago, and I mentioned it before, I've looked for it, I can't find it. There was a tennis team. And the guy, now this was a coach who somehow figured out how to get his tennis players meditating. I don't know how he did that. But the main purpose of it was what I just said: focus on the point at hand. Don't, the point you just played is in the past.
It's done.
It's done, gone. And I add in whether it was a good or bad or neutral, don't matter. It's just done. And they had a very winning record for years of that ability to just be in the moment of the point. Well, that goes for anything, really. So that's
Yeah,
what we're going for. So we'll be training that up. That's how you do it. We're going over and over it, but you know what? It bears repeating.
it bears repeating. It does.
But we'll be back in a week or 2 weeks. Actually, we'll be back and talk about it more. By then, we'll have the program set up, so we'll have a link. And click on the link and go play and go into the course. Well, buy it and go into the course and stuff. Meet with us on Fridays, so you can ask questions. This, I mean, we've done this a lot. Looking forward to seeing it, guys. The jazz, in large part, the inspiration for all this.
There you go.
Phil brought you up the other day, yesterday.
Yep.
It was yesterday. Because he thought that maybe you were working with some athletes, I think. Is that what you said, Phil?
Yes. I got the sense that she had been working with some athletes. That's exactly what I said.
And oh, she says, hi, yes. And that's it. So that's what we're up to, is doing that. Because this is fun. We like athletes. we like playing.
Right.
Move, doing something.
Yeah. And athletes like doing stuff too. They like to play and do stuff too.
That is cool.
It's a nice combination.
I have a doctorate in clinical and sports psychology, so do both. Oh, wow.
All right.
Back when I got my doctorate, everybody didn't have sports psychology. it was still in its infancy. Wouldn't be able to say that. But whatever sports psychology is, we use the matrix. That's our sports psychology.
That's it.
Yeah, that's how we do it. And by the way, folks, it is already used in baseball and Olympic teams and stuff. They use the matrix. It's actually all the same. Yeah, I had read up on it, Jazz. I figured
Yeah.
it. So, well, we do that. It's fun. We enjoy it. Enjoy the athletic side of things. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. I know we had a title. What did we title it?
I think it was something to do with intrinsic motivation.
Oh yeah, we decided to do that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing. Are you saying that intrinsic motivation is important versus extrinsic motivation? You never know.
Yeah.
You mean other people telling you what to do and what to eat
And what not to eat.
and when to practice? Oh yeah, in particular, what not to
What not to eat.
and when to practice and how to practice, and over and over they keep telling you what to do. That sometimes that robs you of your intrinsic motivation.
I would say it actually buries it, to be honest with you.
You know, the internet hears you talk about that. I think it's a Tomic or some guy that can't remember. He was like born in like Eastern Europe, and then his family, his their dad, and moved him to Australia at like 3 with
Ooh,
the explicit reason to make him into a championship tennis player. So the dad was obsessed with making this guy a championship tennis player, which he did. And he made it all the way to like in the top 20 and then just blew apart.
mm-hmm.
And Phil had talked about this, and it was like, this is an example of somebody completely losing their intrinsic motivation.
Lost touch with it.
Just quit. And what? He had been told what to do and how to do it and all of this stuff since he was 3 years old. And finally, it broke him.
Yep.
It broke him. So, by example of Alysa, the ice skater, has somewhat of a similar story.
Yeah, well, that's what she was talking about, how she had to step away from it.
And to step away from more than anything until my dad started caring too much about my success. Whoa, well, there you go.
Yep.
And that, well, what Jazz has said is a bit of a robbing of intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
I guess it's not a bit of it. It is it.
Yeah, steal it. It gets stolen.
It gets stolen from you, and you feel the loss.
Yeah.
You know, you feel that. And then tennis became my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all know how it is to have a job. Yeah, no. So it's still grieving that loss. I didn't mean to say that way, but it is. You feel a loss that you used to have this love, this intrinsic thing, you know, and now it's has been robbed from you in a way. We all listened to the story about Alysa, and she somehow managed to get it back. Good for her. This guy this tennis player I was referring to, male tennis player, he lost it and never came back.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people just don't recover from that.
Nope. Well, I would imagine he went and found something else to be intrinsically motivated.
Well, and I think that's what happened with Alysa. Is she went off and rediscovered her joy doing something completely different than skiing.
Yep. Well, that's what anyways. So this mental side of things is really, 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 really important.
It is huge.
All right, it's huge, and so we'll talk about that next week, and that will, of course, be part of the ACT matrix coaching. Da 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 da. We won't call it sports psychology because we're not accredited for such
No,
thing, but we're wicked good at the ACT
we
matrix.
got that down. We got that part
Wicked good. That's a Maynard term, but I have seen elsewhere now. Maynards used to love it, love it. But anyway, that is so. Intrinsic motivation is extraordinarily important because that's how you show up. That's how you. I mean, if you're extrinsically motivated, choke is just right around the corner.
You lose yourself.
Yeah, that's that highly increases the probability of a choke. Yikes! Gosh, and the people that do it, jazz. I mean, even Federer. I mean, he just did it till he wouldn't do it anymore. He loved the game, and he managed to just love it. Djokovic is still going at it. I mean, and you can see his bones are creaking a little bit. He doesn't quite have as much spring in his step. Can still be what 99.9% of every tennis player ever was, but he's slipping a little bit. But I think part of it, they keep doing it because they enjoy doing it. They enjoy. What is that? What are the Williams sisters? Not Venus. She's
Venus.
still poor. She still plays doubles and stuff. And they'll ask her, "Why do you do this?" She says, "Because I like it. I like touring. I like playing tennis. I like doing this. Otherwise, I am intrinsically motivated to do this." Yeah. So if you find something you love to do, keep on doing it. And but if the extrinsic motivation sets in, that's so good. So we'll talk about that more next week.
We
And in
will.
the meantime, we'll get to work. We'll do our little coursey thing, get it. We're well versed in how to do that, folks. So don't worry about us.
Yes.
We'll get. We've been doing it for what? A lot of
Oh,
years.
many years.
20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That we're good at. And the Mac Matrix. So we'll be back. We've had fun. Nice to see
Yep.
you, Jazz. Keep up the playing. I keep up the playing.
Doing what you do.
Do what I do. I'm not extrinsically motivated. I just like playing now. So I like being an athlete again. I'm back to being an athlete. And I was officially told that. I had a physical yesterday. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're intrinsically motivated. That's what Phil and I shrank all of this down to the events that we were intrinsically motivated to show up to.
Exactly.
Which is the occasional 1 p.m. crowdcast that we do, and the 10 o'clock call that we do on Fridays. So we still had plenty of intrinsic motivation to do that. That's what we're doing. I don't think we're all playing and doing other stuff. So
yeah, that's also part of intrinsic motivation.
We'll go do other things, but it is fun. I'm 70 and considered. Oh, I was saying yesterday I had a physical, and I was Jesus, you're a 70-year-old athlete. That's amazing. Don't run into very many of them. Well, that's fun, and to me, that's fun to be a 70-year-old athlete.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice feedback I got. So I like it, and the numbers fit. Oh my! I have all the right numbers to say that. So.
There you go.
So we will be back. Oh, no, let's see. What is the date? Are you looking at the
2 weeks. We said the 19th?
Oh, that's right. It'd be the 19th. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, 19th.
Because we're both doing stuff on the 12th.
Yep.
We'll be back. By then we'll have the course up and going. We'll have a little thing to click
check it out.
We'll have a good time.
We will.
Meantime, we'll do a little bit of keto, a little tennis. That's
Whatever
about
else.
it. Whatever else comes up. Bye bye, folks.